Joining us right now with his top picks in the restaurant sector is Jeffrey Bernstein. He is senior restaurant analyst at Barclays. And Jeff, let's run through this. The numbers that Kate just listed are pretty horrific numbers. You obviously work in a slightly different arena where you're looking just at the biggest players. Is this a situation where only the big restaurant chains are going to survive?
Well, good morning, and yeah, it's a fair comment. Obviously, the bigger chains are in a better position to withstand the near-term pressures. It's the independents that are really the most vulnerable. To the comments earlier, if we see outsized closures in the next 6 to 12 months, it is likely going to be led by the mom and pops who don't have the balance sheet to withstand the near-term pressure.
I know you've got an overweight on several stocks in this sector, including McDonald's and Starbucks. Is it because of what they've been able to do during the pandemic to kind of pivot and make sure people can use the drive up and do things like that? Or is it because of what you see coming in 2021?
Right, so it's one of each. McDonald's has put up very strong numbers over the past 9 months. So when you talk about the challenges of COVID, people still need to eat, and McDonald's is a very value-focused brand, and they have the convenience of the drive-through. So they have done extremely well, and we believe very defensively today. But for those who, when the market being forward-looking, a lot of investors say, well, when warmer weather comes and the vaccine is in place, where's the big recovery trade? We believe Starbucks, who's been, challenged due to the morning day part and people not leaving their homes first thing in the morning, that's really hit them hard, but we don't believe they've been permanently or structurally damaged long-term. And therefore, for those that are looking out 6 to 12 months, we believe Starbucks is a great recovery trade.
How much of Starbucks is, and your overweight trade there, your overweight weighting is because you think people are going to be back in offices and back in their morning routines? Is that a given, you think, 6 months from now?
Not necessarily a given. We're still waiting for the word to head back into our offices. But what's amazing is that Starbucks, and what demonstrates the resilience of the brand, is the fact that in the most recent month or two, their sales are only down, single digits. So the fact that I haven't left my home in the morning for 9 months now, and their sales are only down single digits implies, and they've noted this, as have other coffee and breakfast players, that the consumer has shifted their routines. So instead of coming at 7 in the morning on the way to work, now they're taking a break at 11 a.m. And instead of their New York City location, now they're in their suburban location. So the sales are shifting, but for the entity as a whole, they're holding up extremely well.
You've also got an overweight rating on Darden Restaurants, the parent company of Olive Garden and Red Lobster. What brought you to that? Because that's a situation where they are expecting some pretty difficult comps for this quarter, which should have been their most profitable quarter.
Absolutely. Yeah, that, depending on how you look at it, in the next 3 months, the most challenged subsegment is going to be casual dining. To the point referenced earlier, people just aren't in the festive holiday mood. Colder weather is not going to help. A lack of vaccine and in-restaurant dining is not going to help. So in the very short term, if you looked at fundamentals, Darden would be a more challenged portfolio of brands. And they have 8 brands in their portfolio, like you said, led by Olive Garden and then Longhorn Steakhouse. But if you look out 6 months, the strong will survive. So for better or for worse, nobody wants to see the independent closures. But when there are independent closures, the Darden restaurants across the street are going to benefit from that. Plus, all of our restaurants have learned to do more with less. So through this whole crisis, when sales have been pressured, they've learned how to manage their cost structure better. So when sales return to former levels at some point, timing still to be determined, but when they do return, Darden has been the first to say we are going to achieve much stronger margins than we did before when the sales were at these levels. So optimism on the long term.
Shepard Smith here. Thanks for watching CNBC on YouTube.